Hi there. A couple of weeks ago, we released Ninja plugin for Netbox. And in the introduction video, I showed you how to create visualization based on the Netbox data. And I also showed you how to create config files for other systems to fetch. So for example, GNMIC can fetch the list of targets from the Netbox and then subscribe to new routers automatically. Today, we are going to talk about two new things. So since then, we have released a couple of new releases, and there is one major change and one major improvement. So let's go for the major change first. So let's take a look to the backbone layer 3 template we saw last time. So this diagram was generated automatically based on the Netbox data. Now, last time you needed a rautanen-io export API container to transform this rautanen-io file to SVG file and show it here in the Netbox. Now you don't need the container anymore if you are staying inside the Netbox. So this one has now been rendered in the front end. But if you are accessing the same diagram through API, then you need the container still. So if I click here in the API link, I will see this this diagram, and this was rendered or converted through the rautanen-io export API container. So just to keep in mind, it's easy to get started. You don't need container. If you need API, you need the container. Now, let's talk about the enhancement. So now it's really nice that you have a diagram here rendered on the fly based on the Netbox data. But if we have telemetry in Grafana, could we have this diagram and reflect telemetry on top of it? So let's take a look. And the answer is yes, we can. So this is actually another plugin in Grafana, and it is called Flow. And it has a feature where it can have a SVG file. Actually, you can paste the content of SVG file in this field, and you can, or you can set the URL where this is fetched. So we told this plugin to fetch it from the Netbox. Same applies to panel config. So the panel config is the YAML file telling to which SVG ID, basically shape, to reflect what telemetry point. Now, as you can see, now we have a diagram and we are reflecting the status of the interfaces in this diagram, and they are all down. And this is just because we have newly created container lab topology, and we haven't pushed the configuration to the routers yet. So let's do that. Let's push configuration to routers. And let's go back to the dashboard. And here we go. We got the all interfaces up. And soon we should get the ISIS neighborship information here. So now ISIS neighborship count is 0. It's getting 1. And I guess now we have the IGB converged and should be fine. How cool is that? You have fully dynamic diagram. if you get new router, you get new subscriptions, you get it here in the diagram, and you get the telemetry data reflected on top of it. You don't have to touch Grafana or GNMIC or InfluxDB or anything. It just happens. Well, the other thing is even more interesting. So we had this higher level abstraction of virtual networks, basically the layer 3 VPNs in MPLS network, and we have just 4 of them right now here. And last time I was showing you that I have a diagram template for them as well. Now, these are instances of services which get provisioned and deleted. They have some lifetime. Now, can we have this as a dashboard in Grafana? And the answer is yes, we can. The difference between this dashboard and the one I showed before is that we have now this virtual network dropdown. So we have variables here. If we are now taking a look at the virtual network 1 dashboard, what about 2? Now we fetched this diagram. It was rendered on the fly like a couple of seconds ago, and we have an up-to-date telemetry view of it. So let's do one thing. So let's go into the Netbox, add a new instance, Acme VN5, and let's attach that to site 1. Okay, site 1 only. And now we are creating this instance of new service in the Netbox. We are adding all the details like VLANs, subinterfaces, prefixes, IP addresses, and such. And like this service instance wasn't there like 30 seconds ago. And now we have up-to-date diagram for it. And if we go here, we need to refresh the page in order to refresh the variable list. We can take a look to this newly created service instance. And yeah, now we have an up-to-date dashboard for it. But take a look at these subinterfaces. They don't actually exist in these routers yet. We haven't pushed the configuration. So let's do that. We can actually take a look first. We can pull and refresh to see the actual differences, because that was old information. Okay, now it's showing that this VN is getting added to those routers. So let's push and let's go back to the diagram and to the dashboard and see if we can get these interfaces up. And here we go. So this is kind of crazy, I think. We have just created a new instance of a service, and just a couple of seconds later, we have up-to-date diagram for it and dynamic dashboard for that service, which tells how it's working. And I just got this working, so I haven't been able to do anything else than just interface status. But we can do anything. Like we can add information about the state of the OSPF neighborship here. We can reflect the number of routes we are getting. We can put the amount of traffic going through the links right now and things like that. And yeah, I think this is kind of amazing. And if you found this useful, just use it. I mean, I need to use it more. It's just so fun. So it's time to say thank you for watching and see you around.